Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I'm not really sure what it's going to be, to be honest. It's just going to be a little rambly video. And I just wanted to talk, obviously, a bit about the Stormlight archive and just all the characters and how much they mean to me. Yeah, I don't know what inspired me to do this really. I guess I'm just feeling a bit emotional and mushy. And I just wanted to talk about some of them because they're just such amazing characters and just like how well crafted they are, and yeah, just they mean the world to me. So we're just gonna have a little gushy video. I mean, I'm sure people watching this probably have read the series because it's a bit niche, but yeah, if you haven't read the Stormlight archive, I highly recommend you do. And I have various Cosmere videos, so I'll link a few of those below. But yeah, it's an epic fantasy series and it's just like my favourite series of all time. And yeah, just the kind of characters, the world, the like plot, it's the meaning of the word epic, and just there's so much to like connect to, and just yeah, this is just going to be a gushy video, so settle in. So I have Words of Radiance here. I feel like I usually either hold up The Way of Kings or Oathbringer, but I thought I'd give Words of Radiance some love today. And also I have little stickers that I got from Redbubble in all of them. That's Seth, he's on the front as well. I think this is actually, I really like the UK covers and how they like look on the shelves, but the covers are a little bit like generic. Like that one's literally just a man with a spear. I don't even know like what character it's meant to be or anything, but I do like this one. I do like this one because it's like quite clearly Seth, so I like that. I really like the Rhythm of War cover, the UK one, because we haven't seen the US one yet, but with the Shallan, that's cool. But yeah, so anyway, this video is already off topic, but yeah, and we'll see who's in the front of this one. Oh, we got Shallan. Yeah, I think I tried to put because I actually have the tarot cards like as proper tarot cards, but before those came out I got all the stickers off of Redbubble. So I put like who's, I think, and they're all interspersed throughout. Like I know I've got the Lift one, like on the Lift interlude, that's in this book. So I've just stuck them like where I thought they were most appropriate. So like yeah, Shallan's in the front of this one, and then I've got Adeline in the back, because I think the last line of like part 1 of this book is Adeline like deciding he's going to be fighting all the duels for his father. And then like yeah, Seth in this one, and then at the end I think I've got Wit or something. And maybe Wit's at the end of The Way of Kings, but yeah, so I have my little stickers throughout which is cute. But yeah, so first I'm going to talk about Caledon because he's Caledon. Yeah, I think Caledon means so much to like a lot of people because he's just, I think it's really impossible not to love him, to be honest. He's just this like sweet, well, I don't know if he's sweet or not. He's like the grumpiest, but in the most endearing way. And yeah, just his journey, especially in Way of Kings, is so like, you just feel for him so much, and just watching him grow from like this kind of depressed slave who's really like down, and yeah, well, near the start of the book he tries to like kill himself, or yeah, well, throw himself off the like on a chasm, and just seeing him kind of come up from that and getting the like love and support of Bridgefort, and the way he kind of, he's like he's learning to heal, but he's not like there, and how like he has all this support, but it doesn't like diminish his struggles or anything, and he doesn't like heal instantly because of love or anything. Like even in Oathbringer he still has like episodes of depression, and kind of yeah, the ending of Oathbringer just kind of, and when Syl's like maybe it's time you let someone help you. Oh Caledon. But yeah, and just watching him and his journey, and that just means like so much to me, and how he never gives up even though he's depressed sometimes, and depression can make you very like apathetic, but he still like does whatever he needs to for his loved ones, and yeah, he's just such a such a great character. And yeah, and I've had depression, and just seeing Caledon's like growth and how he like pushes through it, and it just kind of motivates you to do better and to just be like the best that you can be, I guess. And also that you can still succeed even if you have like mental health issues, I think is a really great message as well, because Caledon is like this big figure in the world. He's like a Caledon Stormblessed, so he's like this he's a very like looked up to figure, and he's like successful, but he still has all these struggles, and I think that's really great to see, and that would be really important to see, I think, especially for like young people, like teenagers reading these books who are struggling, and just seeing that they can still have like a really good and fulfilling life even if they do struggle with problems. And sometimes, and I think also Caledon's story shows the episodic nature of depression really well, and it also shows how kind of Caledon will be having bad days sometimes, but then a bit later on he'll kind of be feeling a bit better again. And I think that shows how sometimes when you're having a bad day, it's really easy to feel like it's going to be bad days forever, but that's not true, and you will get better. So yeah, so that's just really nice to see. I love Caledon, and if anything bad happens to him ever, I'm gonna be very upset. Yeah. So next I want to talk about Shallan, because Shallan, where would we be without her, honestly? Yeah, she's such a mess. But she's I think she's not like one of my favourite female characters ever, but she is one of the most interesting and one of the most fascinating to read, I think, which I think almost makes her like one of my favourite characters, because she's honestly, I think, one of the best like well-crafted female characters ever, because she is so flawed, and her flaws are like very real, and yeah, the kind of she has a lot of problems. She's probably the person with like the most mental health problems on Rashar, and that is saying a lot because it's Rashar. So she has all these flaws, but she's also has all these like good traits as well, and she's a very like, I think she's an excellent portrayal of characters who are struggling, and how so sometimes I feel like in books characters have like mental illness for representation, but they never really show any kind of consequences of that, if that makes sense. But Shallan really, her kind of issues and her struggles, she really like has, they have serious consequences for her in the books, and her like relationships and her kind of goals, I guess, are really affected by her issues. And I think that's really like good to see, I guess, because it's kind of realistic, and it's showing that there are consequences for your actions. And also I think how she kind of has all her like personalities. I mean I don't have like any kind of personality disorder, but I think I do have a bit of like just kind of almost dissociation from like I'm good at repressing things. So like if something bad's happened, I'm good at like pretending it never happened, and I think Shallan does that a lot. She just sort of, yeah, like she does bad things, or bad things happen to her, and then she just kind of like forgets it, or like she won't let herself acknowledge it. And then I feel like her personalities are sort of born from that. But yeah, but I definitely relate to that a lot, with kind of the like repression of trauma. And I think that really hit me hard when I first read about that, like realising, I mean, I haven't done anything near like what Shallan's done, like I haven't murdered my parents, but just seeing that how like repressing trauma is not a healthy thing to do, and how it really has serious repercussions for her. And I think, yeah, that just like really resonated with me, and seeing that. And yeah, she's just such a well done character, and also her humour, it's quite like, it's not always funny, and sometimes she's like a bit too much almost, but I actually really like that, because I think that also really shows her kind of her personality and like her coping mechanisms, and how she's like not always appropriate, if that makes sense. And it really annoys me when people say Shallan's annoying, because she's not annoying, she's just like, well, maybe she's a little bit annoying, but that's kind of how she's designed to be almost. And I think she's not designed to be like the most super like likable character, but she is very likable because you sort of feel for her so much watching her struggle, and sort of, and also her backstory, first of all, is so tragic and one of the most harrowing things. I thought it was probably the worst thing I've ever read until I read Dalinar's backstory. but yeah, it's so harrowing. Like one of the like most harrowing scenes I've ever read is that scene with the lullaby and her father and the necklace in Words of Radiance. That is just yeah, that's quite a scene. But yeah, and how she's just like repressing it, and how she like grew up and her family is like quite abusive, well, like, and her brother's like a psychopath basically, and then her father's like beating them up, and yeah, it's really tragic. But just seeing like, and like the Caledon when he's like, oh, but she smiled anyway. And that's just, I think that encapsulates Shallan's personality so well. And yeah, she's just such a fascinating character. And her relationship with Adeline, when Adeline just like accepts her for who she is and like knows when it's Shallan and not Vale. And well, that's very emotional. I love them. Yeah. And Shallan's relationship with Patton as well. Oh, Patton. I think Patton's a bit of an enabler, to be honest. but yeah, that's a very fascinating relationship. With the like the kind of the whole, I love the theme of the like with the cryptids and the like lies and truth and like good, like when Patton's like a good lie. But yeah, I think that's very fascinating. Also, I love all the Shallan fan art. There's so much, like there's one with her like where she's Shallan, and then Vale and Radiant are both like with like, and I think that's one of my favorite pieces of like fan art in existence, because I think that just encapsulates like so well how she's kind of like being held back from her from her potential almost by these like personalities that she's created, and how that's just kind of, yeah. And also there's one where she's like shattered glass, and I think that's very powerful as well to look at. Yeah, it's just, she's such a fascinating character, and yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of happens with her in Rhythm of War. So the scene in Oathbringer, but back to Oathbringer part 5, because that's my favourite. But with Wit and the girl who stood up to capture him, when he's like, "You're not worse for your interaction with the world is better for its interaction with you," and oh, that's very emotional. So next I'm going to talk about Dalinar, because Dalinar, oh, when you first meet him, he's kind of a bit boring, I would say. That's fair. And he's just like, yeah, he's just there to like unite them, and everyone sort of thinks of Dalinar as this like crazy war criminal or something, and you don't really understand why. But then in Oathbringer, and you're sort of finding out about Dalinar's past, and you're like, whoa, what the hell happened to you? And yeah, and how Dalinar is very much a villain when he's young, and yeah, and the things he does, it's almost unforgivable, and then while you're reading Oathbringer, you're questioning like, well, how can I like Dalinar? Because he is quite likable as an older character. He's quite like wise, and he's a dad. And he's like, yeah, and he like adopts basically all of these characters. Like Caledon and Bridgefor and Shallan and everything. And well, yeah, he's like a dad to everyone except Renarin, who's his actual son. And so you're coming to terms with that, and you really see how like redemption can happen, because you have almost already forgiven Dalinar when you're finding out about his like bad past, and seeing Dalinar come to terms with his past, I think is very powerful. And also I think a great message from Oathbringer is, I think it shows how, like, going back to the like repressing thing, so Dalinar like goes and gets his past like memories wiped from him, and having that memory wipe, it seems like it's benefited him, but in the end it like hasn't, and how like cultivation has done that with how Dalinar like slowly gets his memories back in the lead up to the big like battle with Odium. And I think it's showing how that actually repressing trauma and kind of grief is bad in the long run, and actually acknowledging those feelings and working through them allows Dalinar then in the end to be like, no, you can't have my pain, and you cannot have my pain. Oh, that's like one of my favourite lines. And Dalinar's like, no, no. Yeah, that just, it reminds me of Tangled when the Gothel's like, no. That's like, yeah, that's a good song. But anyway, so yeah, so like that's, I think that's one of the like most resounding messages of Oathbringer for me, how like it's important to acknowledge your like past trauma, and then that allows you then to grow and to well, not to bring all the perpendicularities together. But yeah, just seeing that is quite. So I'm going to talk then briefly about Jess now, because Jess now, what a babe, honestly. She's another such a well-written character, and she's honestly like one of the best characters in existence. I'm sure I've said this about every character in this video, but and how she's confident in herself, and that talk she has with Dalinar about how she's not going to be defined by what other people say of her. And I just think that's so motivating, and how she like gives absolutely no shits what anyone thinks of her. Like in the scene in Way of Kings, when she takes Shallan for a philosophy lesson, and she's like killing these murderers. And her whole thing with Amran in Oathbringer, when she's like, don't call me a whore. I can't remember what the exact thing is. She's a very like self-confident character, and she's just kind of very like haughty almost. So she's like, yeah, she's like the kind of strong female character, but not the kind of like sword wielding like badass. She's very like sort of like badass politically in a way, and she's just like roasting everyone, and she's but you can tell she has some like, and I'm so fascinated to find out what happened to her in like Shadesmar. But yeah, you can see why Shallan just like all the passages of Shallan describing Jess are just like absolutely Shallan just crushing on her, and I think we all are. Yeah, so she's just a very interesting and powerful character. And also Navani as well. I love Navani. She's such goals. With all her, like, I love that she's like an inventor. She's another one. She's not the mother figure. She is the mother figure, but she also has this like really badass side and this kind of sciencey inventor side. And I really appreciate that, because I think sometimes in fantasy you sort of get these like characters who are like just kind of there to be maternal, and they're very maternal. And I like maternal characters, but I also like them to have kind of their own personality basically. And Navani very much has that. And that's really nice to see like an older character who actually has like quite a lot of agency and quite a lot of their own like goals and motivations and stuff. And Navani really like goes after what she wants. She's like going after Dalinar. Oh, that's great. But yeah, so I love Navani. I could gush about her even more. I'm going to talk a bit about Seth, because oh Seth. Yeah, he is a very fascinating character, because well, at the start I think I liked him even in the prologue, to be honest. he's a villain, but he's like, so the series starts with I'm sure you know this if you're watching this, but the series starts with Seth assassinating the current king, and so obviously he's the assassin, and he's like the baddie that kicks off the series basically. And in the first book he's like going around killing all these like monarchs and sowing chaos in this world, but you just feel for him so much. He's such a sweetheart, honestly. Well, no, he's not a sweetheart, but like he's so angsty, and like everyone else's POVs are like just kind of normal, like standard like language, but then Seth is like so like doom and gloom. And what's that just I think this the last line of the prologue from The Way of Kings is just sums up Seth's character. Like, the blade Seth carried was already curse enough. And then there's like all this stuff with like I'm not good at I'm not good at being a person, it's a failing of mine. And that I don't want to study, I don't want to die line. Seth's just, he has some such great one-liners, and yeah, he's just so like emo, and he's a very like mysterious past, and the way he's kind of enslaved to a stone, and like how he's almost, it seems like he's been brought up in sort of almost like a religious-y cult, and how, yeah, that's very fascinating. And I'm so excited for book 5 because we're getting like Seth's story in that one, and I think that's going to be very like emotional. I can see Seth's backstory being like, progressively the backstories seem to be getting worse. like you think Caledon's bad when you read Workings, and then you get to it where it's Radiance, like Shalon is like, oh my god, and then Dalinar's backstory, you're like, oh, how can it get any worse? But I'm expecting Seth's to be probably the worst, because yeah, I can just see him having an absolutely like heartbreaking story, and yeah, and Seth has been through a lot, bless him, and all his trauma and all the screams of his victims that he hears in his head. So yeah, I'm really, he's one of the characters that I'm most excited to see like going forward, I think. And then the final character I'm going to talk about is a controversial one, and that is Noash. And I just wanted to talk about him briefly because I don't like him. I'm a fuck Noash person, but also I think he's a very like necessary character to have, and I think he's such a great foil for Caledon, and how it shows like the kind of what Caledon could have become if some slightly different circumstances had been made. And yeah, I find that really fascinating, and just kind of, yeah, so like if they both started here and then Caledon kind of gets lifted up by his choices and the sort of circumstances and his like relationships, but then Noash is kind of falling, and how he's sort of become like more corrupt, and how the kind of fused have got a hold of him and like corrupted him. And yeah, because they both like out for revenge because they hate the like noblemen or whatever, but then just seeing that like dichotomy of how they've split, and I think the relationship between Caledon and Noash, I'm interested to see that going forward, especially because Caledon saw like Noash stabbing Elokar, and Caledon obviously felt very responsible for Elokar, I think, and that death really affected him, and Noash did that, and I love their clashes in Words of Radiance, so I'm excited to see their clashes from now on, because now Noash has killed like the God King or something, well, Jezreel, one of the heralds. So yeah, so that I feel like that kind of gets glossed over in the Oathbringer like climax. So yeah, and then I actually lied saying that was the last one, because how could I not talk about the absolute like sunshine that is Adolin Colin. So yeah, he's my favourite, and I just love him, and just seeing how like he's such like a little ray of sunshine, and he's kind of probably the character I would say with the like best mental health in Rashar probably, and how he's just kind of constantly lifting up and supporting the other characters. Like in Way of Kings, he's like how he supports Dalinar, and his, yeah, just kind of being like a good son. And then later in like Oathbringer and well the end of Words of Radiance, how he's like supporting Caledon and Shalon. And yeah, with Shalon, and how he's like sees her for who she is, and like recognizes her problems, and he loves her anyway, and just like, yeah. and with Caledon, and how they're such great friends, and like when he's just like lifts up Caledon, like, and Caledon's like completely having a breakdown because he's just seeing like Elokar being killed, and then Adolin like picks him up and takes him, and that's just so sweet, and their friendship's just the best, honestly. And yeah, and then when Caledon, and he's like, he sees like Rishon at the start of Oathbringer, and he's like, oh, this guy's fashion's out of date, and how he thinks that Adolin would be totally not okay with this, and oh yeah, they're just so sweet. And when Adolin goes to prison for Caledon, oh, that's just very sweet. And yeah, they're just such good friends, and yeah, and Adler's just, you know, he's a good egg, especially like in the first book as well, and he saves that woman from like these other people, and he's just constantly like doing good deeds, and he's like the kind of sword wielding guy, but he's also a very sweet, and I think it's quite good. And I think this book does some good things with like taking down toxic masculinity, because you have Caledon, who's very much like, he's very emotional and very like, you see him crying and you see him doing these things, and then you have Adeline, who's like, he's like quite muscly and like manly or whatever, but he's also just like sweetest little cinnamon roll, and he truly like cares for people, and he's always looking out for people, and yeah, he's very like a very kind of sunshiny sweet character. And then you have Renarin, who's also, I might do another video because this is getting quite long, who's like a very sweet as well, and but also Renarin is very like fierce, and I think Renarin is very like gender kind of defying almost, and how he's like, I like him, and how he's like, people expect him to almost become an Arden, but he's like, no, I don't want that. I think it's very interesting. So back to Adeline, he's just the biggest ray of sunshine, and yeah, just reading about him makes me happy, and just yeah, and I'm so excited to see him in Rhythm of War, because I feel like, well, I don't want anything bad to happen to him, but I feel like we're going to get a lot from him in this book and see a lot of growth, and also how he treats Maya as well, and how he's like slowly bringing her back to life with the power of love and friendship. I think that says a lot about his character. But yeah, he's just the little sweetest, and I just love him. Yeah, and all the memes, Adeline memes are just honestly my favourite thing. Like, some of my favourites are the one where he's like him and Caledon are at this a coffee shop in Ethereum, or however you say it, and it's like that meme where it's like, I want my coffee as black as my soul. And then Caledon's like, he wants milk. Oh, that's so sweet. And then there's another one with like, it's Vale and Adeline, and then it's like, Vale's like, I'll have a Hornita White and he'll have a Capri Sun, and then Adeline's like, I'm 27, I can order my own Capri Sun. I can just see Adeline drinking Capri Suns, honestly. But yeah, he's the sweetest. There, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you if you watched it. I'm not sure if I think I'll post it, because why not, but don't know if it'll get any views. But yeah, so if you enjoyed it, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you next time.